Speaking of throwing trash, Jack, remember that time you threw some trash, a beer bottle, at the cop car?
Man, can we just?
This is fun. You're telling stories.
And was this what it was like in the early days? Was it as raucous as this at the shows you were trying to document?
Yeah.
The beer bottle's the power up. That's the key to get it going. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like the key. Everything goes whatever, and then one beer bottle goes, and then it just explodes.
Yeah, but it ruined the Hollywood punk scene, apparently. You came up for the beat. What's it? It's documented. Chad, you should be proud of this stuff.
Moving on. Moving on. Moving on.
When I tell a story about you, it's no good.
You're not that in charge.
In a way.
I'm entertaining.
When you're building a museum and you recognize that this is the energy and the spirit of it, it's not what most museums are like. Most museums don't document this kind of attitude, this kind of behavior, these kinds of moments, these kinds of histories. A lot of it born from trauma, a lot of it born from escape, a lot of it born from kids who didn't have homes that they were going to. What was the philosophy of trying to put a museum together, recognizing you just can't clean it up and make it just, oh, look at these great flyers?
It just needed to happen. There wasn't anything like it. There was great exhibits of the 70s punk scene in the early 80s, but I want to be inclusive. Because punk rock, it's gotten bigger, but there's still tons of bands playing in their basements or their garages, and they're doing drugs and drinking. And so the punk rock spirit's always been there. It was just so obvious to build a punk rock museum. And there's the mob museum, which does very well, and there's no mob fans around the world. We have punk fans all around the world.
There's some mob fans in some number in government, but yeah, it happens.
Yeah, so, they're not really fans. They don't wear mob. They don't wear shirts. They say Capone on them.
That's right. But trying to keep the spirit and trying to keep it authentic. What kind of conversations were you and the whole crew having to make sure that?
Well, everyone who started this were all lifers, so it was clearly going to be authentic. Everyone who's involved has been doing this for over 40 years. And we can't quit.
45.
45, I wasn't going to say it.
I remember when they asked me to come, I didn't want to go. Because I thought, fuck, Fat Mike's making a punk rock museum. This blows. It's like, I can't even be seen in there. I mean, come on, no one thought that in here? I'm the only person who's an asshole in this room.
No, everyone thought that.
No, not everyone.
We thought that too, as we were getting the museum together. Remember during the pandemic?
Okay, see?
It's like,
I'm just saying what was in your head. So I'm thinking this blows, I'm not going. So then when I got here and I walked through the first thing, I started I'm like getting misty, because I'd see somebody's face that I hadn't seen in years, and I'm thinking, oh God, because he's dead and he's not here anymore. He's not there, and I'm walking by this club, and all of a sudden I'd see a picture of the Mabuhay, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm thinking, and all this shit just started coming. It was like fucking, what's that movie with the baseball girls, League of Their Own or something? That's what I thought. If I was wearing like a little girl's dress. And I just call myself Kit and wander around downstairs crying. All right,
there's no crying in baseball, Jack.
That's right, but there is in punk rock.
There is now for sure. You described it as a love letter. It's a love letter, right?
It is, most certainly. It's like Mike said, we're 2 decades, 3 decades, 4 decades in, depending on who the person is, right? And it's a love letter to punk rock. I mean, punk rock. My mom and was my dad better, taught me better than my parents did. Lifelong friends, lifelong career right now. I mean, how can it not be a love letter, right? Because punk rock music has given me everything. When I look around, it's given these people the same thing, and how can it not be? What Mike had said, it's how can you not have a punk rock museum? How can you not go, I love this music, I love the scene, I love the people, no matter how crazy they are, right? What are you doing there? But,
I'm eccentric, Jack.
I'll fucking meet to you so quick.
Everyone who comes here gets that same thing Jack gets. It's some part of the museum. They're like,
it's my childhood.
I think that first room is really important. And it automatically erases one of the things that you see being in the media for so long, watching the way people tell the stories of these legends, is they tend to erase the contributions of people who weren't white men And the moment you walk into that first room, you go, okay, so there's a different point of view for this.
That was my room.
That was your room.
That's
You
what I
see,
designed.
Alice is the first person that you see.
I wanted
in
everyone to
there.
see Al's bag first.
It's the first person you see.
Yeah.
You experienced this, and it was never mind me talking about it, but when you first knew this museum was going to be a thing and you become a part of this, you know your role and what you've experienced. What were your thoughts about it and your experiences at the time?
Well, I did not come into it cynically. I knew that it had, I talked to Mike originally, and I knew that we come from a society where power trickles from the top, and we're lucky if we get it at the bottom. And we all work together to create community where it would come from the bottom and move up. And this museum represents that through the types of donations and loans. It is built by a community, not by a specific narrator, which is what you're going to see in other museums. They're going to do what they need to do to get their investors to give money, and if that is just telling the story of a white man, it will, white man saves world, it will be, and this museum is not that.
However, I was listening to a